In 2018, on my Arabic channel, I stood at this same spot and I said I will not try to eat healthy, but I will eat healthy. اللي هيحصل الحقيقة ان انا في الايام الجاية دي انا مش هحاول، انا فعلا هتبع نظام غذائي صحي. And the reason was I just came back from the doctor. I was diagnosed. I will talk maybe in another video about the diagnosis. But I had no symptoms and I was already eating healthy. I was living a healthy lifestyle, and that was my other channel, Fukaira, is all about my healthy lifestyle. So I was shocked. How is it possible that I am eating healthy and I have a health issue? My care for healthy living started when I was about 27 years old. I had like some symptoms of allergy and digestion and things like that. It turned out that it was related to my psychological state, but since that time I care about healthy living. That's how I was introduced to the macrobiotic diet, and I was all the time updating my knowledge about how to be healthy in this era. If we are what we eat, then probably I'm eating something wrong, and I had to dive deep into what is healthy, what diets to follow. It took me 5 years, is documented on my other Arabic channel, Fukaira. Now I'm 1.5 years out of the diets. So what did I learn? What diets I tried? And when I try a diet, I'm really very strict with it because I'm a questioner. Once I understand why this diet is the way it is and what is it promising, I follow it to the T. The first diet I came across was the alkaline diet for Dr. Robert Young. And his idea was that he made tests on the blood and he tested many foods and how they affect the blood. So he realized what is good to eat and what is not good to eat. And although at that time Dr. Robert Young was in the prison, but I have two things to say about that. First of all, I was thinking at that time, of course, the conspiracy theory that, modern medicine want you to be sick. They always want you to have problems so you can go to the doctors, buy the medicine, and that's a very good business for them. So when an alternative medicine doctor is in prison, it is not something that make you think that he's doing something wrong. So that's why, although he was in prison, I still followed the diet because I watched all his videos, the books, the schedule or the table of foods, what to eat, what not to eat, because it made sense to me. If he really made tests on the blood and you need to be, the blood needs to be more alkaline, so it is better to eat more alkaline foods, right? So it made sense to me at that time, and I started following his diet. His diet was mainly based on greens, green smoothies, so you're supposed to be drinking a lot of greens and also eating, let's say, fresh raw foods. You can lightly cook them. And I tried this with the cabbage, for example, and of course I suffered a lot because cabbage causes a lot of gas and you need really to cook it well. But because the recipe that they provide, you don't need to cook it well, you just lightly cook it. So it caused me a lot of problem with my digestion. First of all, I lost a lot of weight because I'm someone who's not fat in the first place, and eating such foods that is just raw and liquidy and just made me lose a lot of weight, so I didn't look healthy, right? But I want to say what I got out of the diet. I didn't continue the diet because it wasn't sustainable. I didn't enjoy many of the recipes or the food I was eating. And also it made me lose a lot of weight and I didn't need to. So that's why I quit. But till now I'm drinking green smoothies. We have here the organic farmers. They bring us greens from their farm, and I do green smoothies, but I add to them, for example, apple or banana or something to make them more tasty. But before I leave Dr. Robert Young diet, I just want to say also the reason why Dr. Robert Young was in prison, he's out, he is released now, he finished his time in prison, But the reason is because he became so famous and he started treating celebrities, and some of them said that they healed because of the diet and all that. And then one of his patients died. So that's how he got into prison. But what I want to say is, when you go to a modern medicine doctor and he gives you a treatment and you die, the doctor is forgiven. But if you go to an alternative medicine doctor, especially if he's famous and known, and you die because of his suggestions or advice or treatment, the doctor will be punished, which I think is sarcastic. Later on, I followed the anti-inflammatory diet. I had a book. There was the story of this woman who was struggling with immunity issues, and then she went through this diet that she made to discover what was her problem or what foods are triggering her health issues. And she made this guide in a huge book that I have. It's an elimination diet. So you eliminate a lot of food and then you start introducing them one by one and see how your body interact with them or react to them. And then you can discover what foods are good for you, what foods are not good for you. So it's more of a personalized diet, and this is what I liked about it. And I thought, okay, let me try this anti-inflammatory diet, and I did. The pros is that this diet introduced me to many new grains that I never heard of before, such as buckwheat, millet, amaranth. So before this diet, I never heard of such grains, and now I'm a big fan of buckwheat. I love buckwheat, so I still eat it until now. The reason why I quit the diet and didn't continue, first of all, of course, it's a lot of stress, because when you eliminate a lot of food, of course, your life changes. You need to be careful about what you buy and what not to buy. That was okay for me, but the most stressing part was when I started introducing food, and the system is, for example, you introduce one, let's say tomatoes, you eat it one day, then you stop, you see how you react, then you next day you eat another tomato. So it seemed to me I'm going to spend the rest of my life introducing food and testing what is going on with my body. So it needs someone who's dedicated to, he has nothing else to do in his life but to eliminate and to add and see and look at his body. And actually that's so stressing when you are focused on your health that much. Now I know that this is not healthy. So the reason I just gave up in the last phase when I was introducing food, so I started introducing 5-6 foods because it was too boring to follow the schedule. And so I really I can't say that I went through with the diet. After that, I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Why I'm just looking at the internet, at books, and why don't I just go to a doctor that understands my mentality? So someone who's not into chemicals, who will not just give me immediately antibiotics or things like that, but someone who into nature and who would help me heal. So at the time there was a doctor here in Croatia. She was interviewed in the biggest newspaper. She was talking about women. She was specialized in women over 40, and I was 45 at that time. And how that, like she knows, she prefers to heal by nature and things like that. So I thought, okay, this is the one. I'm going to this doctor. I tried to book an appointment. She was so full. I had an appointment after 2 months. And then I went. She started asking me, do you eat healthy? I said, yes. Do you, I don't know, do you take supplements? Yes. Do you sleep well? Yes. Do you exercise? Yes. And then she said, well, I don't know what to tell you, because usually when women come to me, they are usually smokers, they drink alcohol, their lifestyle is not healthy. So I advise them to eat healthy and live a healthy lifestyle. So you can imagine how much disappointed I was. I'm waiting for this woman for 2 months to go to her appointment. after I read this amazing article about her in the newspaper and how she's healing by nature and all that. And then she told me that all what she does in her clinic is that when a woman comes to her who's not healthy, she advises her to eat healthy. Oh, I could open a clinic like this. But anyway, when she saw how that I'm disappointed, so she gave me ashwagandha to reduce my stress. Of course, I was stressed because of the people I'm meeting who don't know what they are doing and of the amount of scams in the alternative healthy world, you know? A lot of scams, people who are just using this as a source of income and money just because it's trending. So she gave me ashwagandha and then she said, you know what? Let me make a test on your gut, microbiome test. I said, okay, whatever. I was desperate, you know. I want to heal, and I started reading at the time also about the microbiome and the gut and how it's related to all kinds of issues. So I thought, okay, let's do that. She said, we need a sample of your stool. We will send it to Germany in a very specialized lab, you know, and you know Germany and the reputation of Germans and how they are advanced and brilliant and intelligent. So yeah, we did that. It was so expensive test, of course. They did the microbiome test and they discovered that I have a problem with histamine, digesting histamine. So she or the lab actually suggested me to follow antihistamine diet. So I followed the antihistamine diet. Another restrictive diet. Also another thing like eat white fish, don't eat blue fish, eat I don't know what, don't eat what. And she told me to follow this diet for the rest of my life. Of course, a little Google from me, I discovered that no one in his sanity can recommend this diet for the rest of your life because you would lose a lot of minerals and essential minerals for your body. You know, this is a diet that you can maximum follow for a month or a month and a half to just give your body a chance to get over the histamine. Although I had no symptoms whatsoever, I had no allergy symptoms. It's just that the lab showed that I have histamine intolerance. So another restrictive diet. And also, of course, let me say that I sent to this doctor and I warned her, and this is something that I do, not many people do actually, is that when I discover there is a doctor who doesn't know what he's doing, I always get back to him to teach him, okay? So I sent her an email and I said, don't you ever recommend this diet to anyone for the rest of their lives because you are going to kill them, right? Thank God for Google. After this experience, I was so confused. I was like, okay, what now? I tried to go to a doctor, alternative medicine, didn't work out. Of course, on the side, I was trying other kind, like this could be another video of the alternative medicine possibilities I was trying. But I'm focusing in these videos on the diets, only the diets I followed for about 5 years. Okay, now what? Then I thought, okay, let's go back to modern medicine and let's go to a lab and do proper tests. So I went to this lab. I spent huge amount of money on tests. And the guy said that I have leaky gut and I have Hashimoto. Of course, I never heard of Hashimoto before. And I was like, oh my God, what is this Hashimoto? What does this mean? He said, no, you just need to come to the lab and test every 6 months to just make sure that, I don't know, your thyroid is working properly or something like that. So it is something that has no treatment. Okay, thank you. But I have also no symptoms. So if you have a sickness that has no symptoms, I think it's okay, right? Then, okay, what about the leaky gut, doctor? What can I do? I said, well, we have no treatment for that as well. Oh, excellent. So I ended up spending huge amount of money on those lab tests, and I have this doctor who just giving me diagnosis, and he has no nothing to give, nothing to treat me, nothing to to suggest me. But then again, I looked at the lab test because I didn't trust this doctor, so I checked my lab test again, and I found that my DAO enzyme is very low. I checked online and I found that when you have a very low DAO enzyme, it means that you have problem with the histamine again. So this time I went to looking for someone specialized in the histamine thing, because I thought maybe the reason why I have health issue is because I have this problem with the DAO enzyme or with the histamine thing. So I found a specialized clinic in Spain, and that's the good thing about this era, is that you can consult anyone anywhere in the world. So this clinic in Spain was specialized in the DAO, you see. They're specialized in this enzyme and specialized in the histamine problems. So again, they recommended me the antihistamine diet. I said, oh my God, I tried it before, and then I had to try it again. And what I discovered actually, of course, away from all those clinics, and is that yes, I have DAO issue or histamine intolerance, but it is more connected with my stress level. So it is actually not so much connected to the food, but it's more about my stress level. If I'm really stressed, then it's like a pocket, you know. My body needs to put a lot of effort to digest the food and the histamine and all that, and also the stress, because the stress needs to be digested as well. I just need to be cool and relaxed, and this will solve my DAO problem. But this I discovered on my own. Let me also say that before I go into these diets, I was already a pescatarian, so I was eating mostly plant-based food, plus of course fish or seafood, but mostly fish. And I'm married to a vegan, so I was also mostly eating vegan food. So that's the diet I came with, and that's how my health issue with the diagnosis I got started, because I was following such already healthy diets. Coming from all those diets, it was always the emphasis on you need to eat plant-based, you need to focus on the plants, and eating more fruits and veggies. Or some people demonize the fruits as well, so eat more veggies, you know. And then once upon a time, I'm so desperate at this point, already lost a lot of weight because of all those restrictive diets, but I listened to a podcast about healthy living, and I found those people talking about cooking chicken and the importance of soup and animal products, how they're, and I was like, oh, am I listening to healthy diet or there is a problem here? And then I discovered the GAPS diet. So this is a new discovery for me. I'm someone who likes to discover new things. So after all those years being focused on plant-based diets, whole food diet, veganism, plant-based, anti-inflammatory, alkaline, raw vegan, all the diets, if you notice now, they are promoting eating without animals, right? So I have this idea that animals are dead creatures, and no one in his right mind would put dead creatures in his body. But then I come to the GAPS diet and I find a totally new view. I'm someone who's open to all possibilities. So I listened. I really found that they made sense, because especially they are coming from the Western A. Price diet. Dr. Western A. Price, who went around the tribes, the native tribes, to see what they are eating that made them healthy and have good teeth, because he was a dentist. And so I got convinced with this idea that, yeah, we need to eat like the ancestors. You know, we need to eat whole foods, whether it's animal products or, I mean, you need to eat everything, even animal products. And that the problem in this era is that the animals are being injected with antibiotics and hormones and things like that. So if you eat the animals as they were like raised, like grass-fed and without all those chemicals, then that's the best for you. And the GAPS diet focused more about healing the gut. It was introduced by Dr. Natasha Campbell, who she says that she healed her son who had autism by the diet because she found connection between the gut and the mental issues. So the GAPS diet comes from the gut and psychology syndrome. So how the gut is related to your psychology or to mental problems. It affects your brain as well. So you have actually two brains, and this is what also modern medicine is starting to discover now. So it made sense to me, and I started following the GAPS diet. I didn't go through the stages. I just went on the full GAPS diet for a year, for a whole year. And the result was, of course, it was mainly soups. I was usually using meat soups. Just recently when I had maybe 1 or 2 chicken soups, but mainly no grains at all. And the first thing I noticed with the GAPS diet is that I was bloated and my bloating went away. So I thought, that's a good sign. That's why I continued on the diet for a year. But what were the cons? I had horrific constipation. Of course, they advise you in the GAPS diet to take, I don't know, hydrochloric, whatever. But I found this not natural, right? I mean, you should have a diet that make your body function properly. So I had horrible constipation. I was mainly depending on beetroot juice and carrot juice to go to toilet. And now, after 1 year of doing that, if I eat a little bit of beetroot, I get horrific cramps. But I would say also that when I was on the diet, the period didn't hurt at all. I had no pain with the period, which was, I don't know if it was a coincidence or it was because of the diet. Another horrible thing that happened is that I lost even more weight. I became like a skeleton, really. I got to the lowest weight I've ever got to in my life. Because this diet has no starches, no bread, no rice, no anything. Just soups. And yeah, it is very restrictive as well. But I said the reason I followed it for a year was because the period had no pain and I wasn't bloated. So I came out of all those diets and then I was totally like, what have I done? What have I done? And what to do also. Like, what should I eat now? What shouldn't I eat? After all those diets, I would like to say that I developed at some point fear of food. So whenever I'm eating something that I know that is not healthy, for example, it's demonized in some diet, I just get tensioned, I get stressed, and of course that's not healthy. And I know maybe this is like something that has a name. So for example, if I'm eating an orange and then I remember, oh my God, in the alkaline diet you should not eat oranges because it has sugar, it spikes your blood sugar, it's not good for you. And so when I have all those ideas while I'm eating the orange, it's like I'm eating a poison, right? I came out of all those diets and I started to become again friend with all foods that are natural. So even if I'm eating an orange, I stop those thoughts that, oh, that's maybe it has sugar, it has I don't know what. Or if I'm eating bread, oh, that's difficult to digest in the GAPS diet, for example. So I started to stop those ideas and try to eat as everything, but as natural as possible. And after all those diets, after I was a pescatarian, I'm still a pescatarian now, but I don't, if I feel like I want a piece of meat or I want chicken, I don't stop myself. Another thing I noticed is that because I was on all those diets, I was never ordering something from outside. I was never eating from a restaurant or having a delivery or anything like this. I was making all my food by myself. And when I got out of the diets and I went to try a hot chocolate for the first time after 5 years, I discovered that this hot chocolate that I used to drink before is so sweet to an extent that I actually don't enjoy it anymore.
طعمها مسكر جدا. لما توقف السكر لفترة بتحس بطعمه.
I discovered that all food that comes from outside my home is too salty or too sweet, because it seems that people in the outside world, their taste palette is just not balanced anymore. So they just need a lot of salt and a lot of sugar to, but because I was isolated from this for 5 years, I make my own food. And I also, majority of those diets, I wasn't using sugars at all. So even now I'm just I use dates or I use coconut sugar if I have to. I can't stand now eating. I tried for a year to eat outside and try different restaurants and things like that. But yeah, I just don't enjoy it anymore, because now I see how salty it is and how sweet it is. So now, what diet I'm going to follow? I'm now trying to come back to connecting with healthy food in a healthy way. So I eat and enjoy the food, trying to stop those thoughts that I know, for example, that this and that diet is not good and this diet is not good. And but basically I try to make everything at home. I buy the ingredients organic or from farmers who also grow organic, and I cook at home and I prepare my food at home. So I think that's the best thing in healthy living. Even spreads, I started buying spreads in jars, and I found that it's not like when you are used to fresh things that you make by yourself, you just feel the difference between what you do, what you make, and what you buy from in a jar. It's just not this. It's not fresh as the one you make. So yeah. So now I'm mainly pescatarian still. But if I feel that I want to eat something, I don't stop myself. I also sometimes eat something that is not healthy. For example, in the Christmas, we have here in Croatia fritula, which is like some fried balls with sugar. So I don't stop myself from like enjoying the Christmas vibes for the sake of healthy living. But at the same time, I just don't feel like eating fritula the whole year, or even I just eat it once per year. So because for me it is oily and it's sugary. So it's just something to have for fun once in a while, but I still prefer to make my own food. So did I stop experimenting with diets? I'm actually now interested in a diet called the intuitive diet. I would like to just read about, because I'm just interested in the idea. So that's one. Also, someone told me about the ancestors diet and how that we should eat as our ancestors. I would like to learn more about this as well. And that is my journey with the diets over about 5 years. I just want to say that I'm not a crazy person. I'm not someone who's overly strict or anything like that. I'm someone who believes that you are what you eat, and food play a great role in your health. But the reason why it is so confusing now and why there is all this health movement and all that is because we are living in an era where there are food with chemicals, right? Before, no one knew something called organic food because it was the normal, right? When I look at my grandparents in Egypt, for example, Upper Egypt, they were living around them. There were farmers who grow everything fresh and without chemicals. My grandparents grew or raised their own animals. They had everything. They made their own bread. So that's how life used to be. And now, because we are in this era where everything is industrialized, changed, and genetically modified, and also that's why you have to put effort in what to avoid and what to eat. Now the question is, did my diagnosis or my health issue that started all this healed because of all those healthy diets? And the answer is no. It is so confusing. I learned from those diets, I added things to my lifestyle, but I'm still working on healing myself naturally. My question is, do you have a similar story like mine with the diets? Please share it in the comment below. What is your approach to food now? I'm Teresa Khalil, and this is Stories with a question mark.